one is youth? Okay. So as we consider ourselves as youth, as like emerging peace builders in the region, we are thinking maybe it's better that we share some of our experience and our thoughts in responding to what we have had discussed during our youth initiative meeting the other night. So we would like to have this space to share. And why us? Like you and me, why us?
Yeah, why does it have to be us? Well, one of the things we heard in the youth gathering 2 days ago is opportunities for connection. And actually, we met, Dating and I met actually on Zoom, ironically. So it feels a bit coming full circle that we are speaking to you on Zoom. Because we first met through this peace building program called Straight Talk. Young people from mainland China and Taiwan and the US coming together. And there was a presentation last year at Mongolia.
Yeah,
Some of you might remember Ryan and Chun Kai. But anyways, that's where we met 3 years ago, almost exactly.
Yeah, 3 years ago.
And then we actually wanted to provide an example of continued connection online and in person. So during the pandemic, as Karen mentioned, I got involved with online NARPI as well. So Dating and we co-facilitated one of the online NARPI sessions. And people like Junko Hattori joined there. And so I got to see some familiar faces, but we facilitated a session on rethinking national identity.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah. So I think that's why we are doing this.
Yeah, that's why it's us. Are you going?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, the roots of our peace building journey.
Yeah. So what is your roots? Like why you started your peace building?
Yeah, for me, the peace building journey, if we think of peace building journeys like a plant that's growing, I think our roots for me is coming from division. And this is a photo of me with my two grandfathers. The left is on my mother's side. His family is originally from what is now North Korea. And on the right side is on my father's side. And he was separated from his older brother during the Korean War. And yeah, both of them were the greatest influences in my life. And they told me, the grandfather, he participated in the Korean War himself. And I heard these stories, and not just on a national level, but also in my own family. So I feel like I inherited these stories of division, memories of separation as well, not just between North and South Korea, but within members of my own family. So I didn't know it was peace building at the time, but yeah. What about you? What would you say are the roots, Dating, of yours?
So I guess mine will be the trauma, different kinds of trauma. So this is a picture of when I was little. So I was like at my grandparents' home. And so my grandfather, what I witnessed or noticed is like he cannot walk properly. And basically it's because he has a very like a black bruise, like scarred leg. And I was wondering why he had this kind of leg. And he was oftentimes he responded to me like, there's war and Japan invaded China and the Japanese soldiers are so cruel. And so we have this chemical weapons and et cetera, et cetera. And then that's how I got interested, like how this kind of experience from our grandparents' generations. And as I grew older, I realized not just me, but my generations, we are so much impacted by those kind of traumatic experience of our ancestors or the older generations, and it's still impacting us. And this is kind of where I started, or I was trying to find or search some approaches or ways out of this kind of like broken relationships basically between China and Japan.
Hmm.
Mm.
Oh, it's interesting that for both of us, it has to do with our grandparents
Yeah,
in a way.
yes, and it's
Yeah.
also related to war.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
So then where did you grow the seeds of your peace building journey, like from the roots? How did you grow the seeds?
Yeah, maybe another reason, maybe, oh yeah, wait, do you want to go first actually?
No,
Because,
you can go
well,
first.
no, well, just because, maybe one reason that it's deting in me is because maybe we are both working on Northeast Asia, but you have been doing so inside Northeast Asia.
Yeah.
And then I have been mostly because I grew up in the US and was in Ireland. I can talk more about that, but I'm coming from outside and trying to come in.
Mm.
So we have this kind of, yeah, two different perspectives as well. But yeah, well, what about for you? And
Okay.
I know you have been outside of your hometown, Hangzhou, for a long time.
Yeah.
So yeah, anything you want to share about?
So this is, as you can see on the right side, is a picture of kind of symbol of peace that was taken outside of the Nanjing Memorial Hall. As Karen mentioned, that was my first experience of NARPI, and it was by accidentally in Nanjing, and that's where I got to know more about, realize like how it's not just about me, but it's about our generations or the future generations who are still impacted by war time experience experienced by the older generations. And but realizing that the victimization is not enough, it should be like some connections. And then like after that, after Nanjing, I got this opportunity offered by one professor, Liu Chen, who working at the Nanjing University. He was like trying to have some stories from different kinds of different parts of the world, who the cities who suffered from the uh, um, wartime experience or wartime devastations. And I was chosen to do this Hiroshima, and where this is the place where I got to realize the victimization of Japan. Because oftentimes we are only focused on the perpetration of Japan and its people. But after I realized and become more aware of the victimization of Japan, I got to know maybe we should also like include the victimization and the perpetration together, not just focusing our victimized identity, but also to address like to move beyond the identity stuff, move beyond victim perpetrator relationships, but more to like human to human and person to person interactions, such as the space that NARPI can offer for us.
So RJ, in a way, was how you got involved.
Yeah, RJ, like the way how to restore the broken relationships is some kind of my entrance point to relate it to peace building and to the work that I'm doing now.
Wow.
Then how about you?
Yeah, I think for me, I'm thinking of what Felix said yesterday in this amazing plenary session. He was talking about how in the US and a lot of organizations, Western organizations, peace means military security or peace means winning or domination. And I studied politics in university and was working in Washington, D.C., at many organizations with peace in the title. One of the reasons I reached out to Karen and NARPI 5 years ago was because I felt, quite isolated because I couldn't find people who thought about peace in a different way, like through humanity and community and stories. So then I started looking outside the US and even outside Northeast Asia for what I could find. So anyways, I ended up in Ireland, Northern Ireland. And yeah, I went there for a master's in conflict resolution. And I worked with an organization called Healing Through Remembering that works on the legacy of the conflict in Northern Ireland. And Northern Ireland had this 30-year conflict, civil conflict, and the history of North-South division, also history of colonization by Britain, by England. So I worked with this organization, learning how people remember the conflict and tell the stories and work on trauma healing. And then, this phrase it was actually outside of a pub in Belfast that says, "A nation that keeps one eye on the past is wise. A nation that keeps two eyes on the past is blind." So I think this resonated with me when thinking about Northeast Asia as well, especially, as we think about August as a very important month for remembering in Northeast Asia. So first year was master's program, and then the second year I spent at Corrymeela, which I know at least one person, Ellen, if you're there, I know you have been to. It's this beautiful place, similar to Miyazaki. It's by the ocean. And there, I knew that I wanted to focus on building inner peace, which we can talk about later too, because as peace builders, I realize more and more that I cannot build peace outside in the world or in communities if I don't have peace within myself. So I spent a year living in this community and trying to focus on, prayer and growing spiritually and finding some more ways to take care of myself before going back. So we both grew peace in different ways. Nanjing, Hiroshima, Ireland. But any fruits, like when we mean fruits, like success stories or any fruits of your journey that you want to share so far? If you had to choose one or two.
Yes, I guess for me, it's the book, the Hiroshima book that was published like 2022, October 2022. I think some of you have already got this book from Mongolia. I think one thing I want to mention, which is connected to my roots, is that when I was doing this research on Hiroshima, I realized there are several small islands around Hiroshima. For instance, there's this Okunoshima, which is called used to be called the poison gas island, or now I guess it's a national holiday spot called the Usagi no Shima. And there, I realized there's this connection because my grandfather, was basically because of the use of the chemical weapons during the wartime, and then most of the chemical weapons that was used in China during the wartime was actually produced and transferred from the Okunoshima, which I discovered when I was doing this research on Hiroshima, which was kind of, I don't know, at very first it's kind of shocking to me, but somehow I also felt like maybe there's this meaning why I was here doing the work on Hiroshima and give me this kind of connection and realization about, doing this work. And also the realization of the importance of moving beyond the identities, not just like being always like arguing about who's the victim, who suffered the most, and who are the perpetrators, who needs to apologize or whatever. Those kind of arguments is always happening, and it's always like haunting the whole. I mean, maybe the two societies or three societies within the region. But more is like just to having a people-to-people dialogue and to be more patient to listen to the other people's pain and the suffering, and also accept or like express or share your own victimization or pain that you have been suffered or you have been hurt or you have been endured for so long. And then this next picture, this picture like brought together for a change and creating a world without strangers. It's kind of continuation of my PhD dissertation. So my PhD dissertation is very much about how to move beyond the identities through like using somatic literacies and using different approaches of people-to-people dialogue activities to repair or to restore our broken relationships. And this project is for together is Tommy. Tommy, I think, is kind of the father or the founder of the trauma course at NARPI. And because he has this cancer and he's now located in the United States, so he cannot travel far away from the States to Asian to our region. And that's why I'm kind of taking on the role of Tommy and to continue this trauma course. And we have Tommy, Aya, and me being as the main leaders of this project. And we are encouraging like basically those who are share the Japanese heritage of the Japanese roots to join this project and to using a lot of somatic skills to become more aware of the invisible kind of trauma that we buried or still remembered by our body, so as to have finding or to search for better ways to restore our relationships and to I don't know, to reframe our peace building work in the region.
Yeah, I got to meet Tommy through deting and Aya's course last year, the trauma course in Mongolia. And I think we have a common connection as well and interest in this kind of historical trauma and how to heal from that. And one thing that I tried to do about the trauma of the Korean divided families in the US, which is my context, the Korean American community, is in Ireland, I learned about different examples of storytelling projects. So I learned, oh, maybe what are some recommendations from that to make it sensitive to trauma and try to heal, but also try to help educate the next generation. So one project that I started last year, actually right before going to Mongolia for NARPI, is I went around the US and collected 26 messages from elderly Korean Americans about what would they say to the family in North Korea. And I was able to do this. I can talk about it more with members of my course 5, creating peace building programs, but was able to get some support funding from AFSC to start this project and partnered with an organization called Korean American Story to produce the videos for those who are willing to have it shared. And then one day I'm trying to have it delivered to North Korea. But here's just a short example of what the video messages looks like about the project.
그러니까 부모님 현대성이란 친동생을
And then
70년도 얼굴을 모르고 왜 사진은 보셨어요? 만나질 못하고. 야, 내가 내년에는 또 못 오겠고, 내후년에 또 와서 너희들 다시 만나마. 그리고 헤어졌는데, 그게 지금 26년이 됐네요. 좀 동생들한테 거짓말쟁이가 된 거죠. 근데 이게 내가 나이 이제 90살이 됐는데, 이제 이 현 정권이 뭐 미국은 내년이면 또 달라져서 뭐 딴 정부가 들었을지 모르지만 우리 한국 정부는 아직도 한 4년 남아있는데 그 안에 무슨 변화가 있을지 또 그때까지 살아있으라는 보장도 없는 거고 북한을 방문할 수 있는 기회만 생긴다면 바로 그날로만 가서 동생들하고 다 만나보고 수고해야 되지 않겠나 그런 생각.
So yeah, that's just one thing I wanted to share about that is that about the fruits is even though Dating and I are working in academic settings, I mean, you finished the PhD, I'm starting a PhD, but still I noticed that our kind of fruits of peace building is not only limited to this academic space, writing journal articles, but also trying to do something for normal people, hopefully.
Then I guess one of the very frequent questions or concerns raised during the youth initiative is like, how can we connect and how can we develop the connections started from NARPI? And I guess this is one of the response that we can offer, like how me and Paul are still connected, even though physically we are kind of far away, but we stay connected through like for how many years?
Oh, yeah, 3 years. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, please add more. I mean, I definitely think that being able to meet in person in Mongolia helped a lot.
Mm.
Like being able to take the course that Dating and I have facilitated, and this is a photo on the left of oh wow, just looking at that brings back good memories actually. No COVID, it's a cool weather, no rain. Anyways, it was a walk that we went on behind where we were staying up on the hill. And yeah, actually, during the course, the thing always reminded me to be present. And I think one thing that has connected us is that I don't know if you would call it this kind of spiritual dimension of peace building or something about inner peace. Like, I guess we each have our own practices. Like, I come from a Catholic background. My parents and grandparents are Catholic, and I tried to go to more ecumenical, inclusive Christian spaces, but trying to be open to different practices of nurturing inner peace. But yeah, I feel like we are connected in that way as well, not just on academic and professional interests, but also in nurturing, yeah, this connection as well.
And so as you can see, there are two Chinese characters. The one is Shin, Kokoro, heart. And there is like flow, fluidity. And to me, it's like, even though we're not physically close to each other, but there's this uncommon deep down within ourselves. Like we have this desire, we have this search to have deeper connections, which is really, really deep down into the hearts. And it's very, very difficult to express it verbally. it's just a feeling. It's just like you trust this person, even though you're not physically together, but you would just be connected from now. Like even though we departed, but we don't feel sad, but because we are still connected in various different ways. And it's about the two hearts connected, and there is kind of energy floating in between. And this kind of energy is, if we kind of trying to hold it, this kind of energy is going to increase as time goes on. It
Agreed.
sounds very spiritual, but that's something that keeps us continue going on the connection, the relationships, the interactions, and everything that.
Yeah. It is amazing that I was asking you like how you heard about Straight Talk, the Taiwan, China, US program, and then your Kyoko-san, and then but Kyoko-san also through NARPI. So it's amazing that one connection leads to
Yeah.
another as well. And then it's through NARPI that we were able to
Yes.
meet together and online as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically, most of the in-person meeting that we two have are happening in NARPI.
And NARPI, yeah.
So it's really a special like space or special, I don't know,
Hmm.
like home
Yeah,
to come back and meet and to deepen our connections.
I totally agree. Thank you, NARPI.
Thank you.
Thank you, NARPI. And maybe just the last question then, before we look at if there are any questions in the chat. I don't know. I know you are starting a new journey after NARPI. I'm starting a new journey after NARPI. But do you have any hopes for like, yeah, closing as we close our conversation here, hopes for the peace building journey? Like, where will you be? What do you hope for?
So my new journey is going to, I'm going to start this new career back in China, teaching at a public university, either teaching language or teaching peace educations. And my desire is obviously, or my focus is obviously on peace education, or the combination of how to use language to promote peace education. And then I hope the hope that I have at this moment is to use the connections that I had before this year and the new connections that I created and developed at this year's NARPI to be my source for, I don't know, the source like to mentally support my new work, which might be kind of lonely work back in China, just to support me mentally to continue this journey and to spread what we have learned, what we have experienced at NARPI to more people who cannot join, who cannot afford to join, or who don't have this chance to join.
Maybe you can consider hosting NARPI.
Yeah,
And
I would try.
Weifeng is the name of the
Yeah, Weifeng is the name of the city. But
Who knows?
of course, I need your help. I need your support. Every one of you out there.
Hmm.
Then what is yours?
Yeah, I think next week, actually, I'm starting a PhD program. So deting is my senpai, 선배 when it comes to PhDs. But I'm also studying peace studies for returning to the US at the University of Notre Dame, it's Kroc Institute, where I'm continuing research on Korean American divided families and yeah, storytelling for trauma healing. But yeah, my hope is that it's a long program, like at least 5 years. So I think the good thing about it is that the summer is open. So I really hope I can keep coming back to NARPI. I don't know if I can. NARPI hosting is limited to Northeast Asia. So yeah, I will not be able to host, I think, but I would love to keep coming back. And I mean, my hope for peace building journey personally and for Asia is, yeah, I think when people, as you said, no longer just see themselves as victims or even just see themselves as perpetrators, but seeing themselves as, you know, both, and seeing this shadow side within each of us, and yeah, the light as well, the hope. So thank you so much. I hope we didn't miss any languages. If you see any languages that are not represented or that are spelled incorrectly, please put in the chat. But thank you. 감사합니다.
arigato.
Wow, deting and Paul.
Bye, Arla. Muchas gracias. And now we're seeing the
Was
question.
really beautiful to listen to your sharing, and I love how you use the roots and the growing and the fruits and connecting questions for each other. We have about 10 minutes to take questions, so feel free to write in your question if you have one in the chat. I think Chema's was the first question, and it is about if the videos from the Divided Families project are already published in a website.
Oh yeah, thanks, Chima. I'll start. Yeah. I'll put in the chat here the link. Yeah, there's a website and there's also Instagram page. The project, Letters to My Hometown. So I'll share that. And yeah, what do you do to take care, improve inner peace? I mean, the first thing is maybe one practice that I've tried at Corrymeela every single day. There was at 9 a.m. there was 20 minutes of silence. Yeah, you just go and breathe or pray or sit or journal or read and do 20 minutes of silence. And then I think the leader always said, yeah, it's really important to have 20 minutes of silence unless you are really busy. And in that case, you need 30 minutes of silence. So I think, yeah, sometimes I try to multitask that with running for at least 20 minutes by myself, and not listening to anything else, just listening to what's in my own heart, or even just not trying to think at all, which is quite difficult for me. Yeah, that's
I think
one thing I'm trying
tapping
to do.
touch is one way for inner peace. Tapping touch is one way for inner peace. And the other point is like you need to have one friend who can always remind you that if you're present or not.
Deting, the next question's for you, and it's from Chema. Could you tell us more about the Breast Together for a Change project?
Basically, we have a very general introduction. It's a very long introduction about the project because it's very much based on the somatic stuff and it's very difficult to describe verbally. And Tommy was the founder or the developer of this project. So if I need to ask his permission if I can share the whole introduction with you. If he's okay, I will share with you using the NARPI network. Is that okay?
Maybe I'll just add what I heard from Tommy was that he originally made the Breast Together for Change project for white people in the United States to overcome the implicit bias in our heart and our mind. And he conducted that pilot experiment for a year project. And then he wanted to create a similar project in Northeast Asia for people from Japanese descent. The next two are more comments than questions, but I'll read them.
Before that, can I share a little bit more about the
Yes,
BTC?
yes.
Yes, originally, we plan to do this within the those who share the roots in Northeast Asia, but because of basically it's because of Tommy's health condition, we cannot do it like 2 years project. So we kind of shorten it into like 1 year, and then only focused on one group, which now we were studying with the Japanese heritage group. And we are thinking about to developing the project. Like after Japanese group, we can go with Chinese, Koreans, and then in the end, we can do it together. That's our planning for this moment. Yeah.
Kathy wrote, your presentation touched my heart. I'd like to walk with you too through your peace building journey. Junko said, thank you so much, Deting and Paul. It's not a question, but feeling. Your interactive sharing and dialogue resonated in every spot in us, every level. It gave me contemplating and deep thinking of my own root, seed, and fruits in my peace journey. So appreciated. There's a question also from Miyako, who was not able to join us this year. She canceled her participation right before we came, but she has a question that says, as for the matter of the victimization and perpetration of wartime, do you think youth in Asian countries seek for peace without nuclear weapons beyond the matter?
Yeah, maybe if Miyako can clarify a bit. I'm not sure if I understand 100%. Maybe if young people in Asian countries seeking for peace, for nuclear disarmament, or a world without nuclear weapons, like what is the relation to that with victimization and perpetrator, maybe? But yeah, I mean, my initial response is I think I was quite disappointed when I always hear about South Korea being a victim to Japanese colonization, but rarely I hear about South Korea being a perpetrator in Vietnam. I often hear about China being a victim of this 100 years of humiliation, but rarely I hear about China being a perpetrator in the current day. Often I hear about Japan being a victim to atomic bombs, but rarely I hear about Japan being the perpetrator in other parts of Northeast Asia. So yeah, my hope is that young people can, I think advocacy for without nuclear weapons is great, but also keeping in mind other issues and the context as well in the advocacy. Oh yeah, wait.
You can read.
You can say.
You can read.
Yeah, like not keeping two eyes on the past, but one eye in each direction.
I think what we were saying, like about moving beyond the victim perpetrator, but identity is not about forgetting the history, but more is about addressing the trauma and together to heal, to enter, at least enter the trauma healing process with acknowledgement of the harm, of the pain, and of both sides. And then to move forward together. It's definitely not about forgetting the history, but it's about adjust the trauma that comes from the history that is still disturbing the region, the relationships, our daily relationships among the people, the young people or the older generations, people in the region. And in doing so, I guess the connection can be deepened and we can be more, how to say, like united to collaborate together for the goal that we shared is to move to what to the the elimination, like to achieve the goal of without nuclear weapons or even without nuclear in the region or in the world.
Where can they read your book?
I'm still trying to, because some friends also ask me how to buy the book and how can I access to the book. I'm trying to talking with the publisher, because right now they only can be purchased in China. I'm trying to talk with them if they can, offer more international kind of businesses, which takes a lot of time. But I will let you know after I talked with them.
We're going to try to close by 10:20, so go ahead, Paul.
Oh, well, briefly to answer Chi's question, I would just say my answer is deting often introduces herself by saying that she is a small piece of peace. And I think for me, the key is feeling a sense of agency. It'd be Scott told me this word like 자기 효능력 or something, like agency or ownership, like feeling like I can do something. It might not be I cannot do everything, of course, but I can do something to contribute to peace. I think that feeling of ownership and agency is really important in finding hope for me and finding others as well. Yeah, that's the last thing I will say.
And we'll take the last question from Yuhyun. And it says that I think transgenerational desire seems to be very often observed. So I'm wondering what our parents' generation is experiencing in their mind, maybe in an unconscious way. If you can share a little bit, what are the reactions of your parents about your academic themes and projects?
You go. No.
So before I came to Japan, when I decided to go to Japan, the whole family was against me. And so my work is basically to improve the Japan-China relationships at the people's level, which sounds very challenging at the moment. And I don't think they support me, but they're not rejecting me as well. So in a very neutral sense, I would say.
I would say that's the biggest challenge that I've had in my own peace building journey is against the expectations of my parents and my family. And the lesson is that I was telling Scott as well. I've learned peace does not always equal harmony. Like in order to make peace and try to transform conflict, sometimes maybe it requires, in my opinion, creating some tension as well.
Can you say this? This is like in Japanese, 微力だけど無力じゃない。無力ではない。It's from Nagasaki. There's this monument at Nagasaki. It says like every small effort counts. 微力だけど無力ではない。
Can you share in the group chat?
Yes, I will share in the group chat later.
But thank you so much, Karen, for this opportunity and everyone for listening. Thank you. Junko-san, that's one.
ありがとう、ジョンコ。
I wish we could just give you a big loud clapping, but from our hearts, here our gratitude.
Balloons.
Thank you. And for today, we'll be engaging in courses in different ways, and you each have a course group in your WhatsApp. So please pay attention to the announcements there. I believe in general, we're planning to start around 10:30, but please just look at the specific guidelines in your course and be patient with each other today as we try a new way. we just send you love and energy and wish you all the best, and also hope for health for all of us and healing for those who are sick. Take care and have a wonderful day.